And there's some roots on it. And I don't particularly like to sleep on roots. I look over here. It's still kind of rooty, but it's flatter over here. This isn't so bad. And roots are not terribly bad. You can sleep around the roots. But I don't like roots that much. I can build it this way a little, or I can build it that way a little. I can build off of this tree, but the ground drops off over here. This is a tarp. It's got a shiny inside and a rougher outside. I think what I'm going to do is a lean-to. Lean-to works pretty effective. And what I'd like to do is have the lean-to pretty much, I'm going to lay it out sort of where I really would ideally like it. Something like right here. That would be nice. I'll put the rope on, but if I put the rope on this side, I can bring this over here. That's kind of handy. So here, I'm going to put a slip knot. Now a slip knot is just a regular knot, but instead of putting the whole piece all the way through, I just take a bite of it and put it through like that. Now the nice thing about a slip knot, if it's cold and wet, you want to take it off, you can just go like this. It's done. So, and if I want it up a little higher, I can just do this. Slip knots are so easy to tie when you practice them just a little bit. I can move it up higher up this way. I'll put it up higher for now. It's real easy for me to make it less high. I'm going to take this. Oh, it almost works here, but that's why we should always bring a little extra cord into the woods. So I'm going to take a little cord. Okay, so again, I'm going to come over here, pull it tight.
Whoa.
And I'm going to put another slip knot. Now watch the slip knot. Again, see, all I'm doing is a little loop. And instead of pulling the whole string through to do a regular knot, I'm just pulling part of it through. And I tighten it up. That thing's great. And gives me a lot of flexibility. Now, let's see how this looks. I like to have a little cord on the ends. There's no cord here, and there's no cord there, so I'm going to cut a couple pieces of cords. And here at camp, we allow our kids to have knives. Our rule with knives is circle of safety. We use the knives for work. We don't use them for playing around and playing with our knives. When our kids play with the knives, we take them away from them. They figure that out very quickly. But our kids are very responsible with the knives. Anyway, so I'm going to come over here. I like to have just a little bit of cord. What keeps you comfortable in a shelter often is just a little ventilation. So I'm going to tie a knot here. The knot I'm going to tie here, I love this knot, is the bowline. Or if you ever get a chance to learn a knot, that's a good one. All right, I'm going to go wander off in the woods. I'll see y'all.
What's he doing?
This one's pretty okay.
He's good with the pickaxe.
All right, anybody know what these are?
Sticks.
No, they're not sticks.
Sticks.
These are tent stakes. Take one, pull out your knife.
Should have let us put knives.
Relax.
I'll just bring out my freaking case.
Because you'll be able to borrow a knife from somebody on the trip. Because we have some. But if you use the knives, I want you to remember those rules I told you. We don't play with these knives. Knives are a tool to do work with, So I have some pretty good steaks. Now these steaks are not too fat, but they're pretty stiff. If you get something that's rotten, it's going to fall apart. If you get something that's too fat, it may be very difficult to stick in the ground. These are a little bit on the thin side, but these are good steaks. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to tie a little loop on the end. You can use an overhand knot. I like bowline, so I'm going to tie a bowline. I'm going to just pull this tight. Don't trip over my steaks, please. They're at the end of the yellow cord. Oh, this is nice. Pick this one just right. If you put this on YouTube, I want to make sure that you put a link to twofuncamps.com. Okay, I'm going to put this here. And I want you to notice that I put these steaks in sort of at a 45-ish degree angle, opposing the force. Okay, so this is pretty nice, but I'm going to do a few changes I think that'll make it even nicer. One is I'm going to wander off into the woods.
Bye. Hope you
Adventure time. Can I go wander with them? Adventure time.
That's what I fit.
All right, you know what this is? No, it's a post. Hold on. When you wander off in the woods, you're going to find things like this everywhere. And I'm going to
break that now. Walking stick.
That was close.
Walking stick.
You're strong. Safety circle. What happened to your safety circle?
Your step.
All right, you see these? Bunch of big, thick leaves. See this sharp end? This could damage my tarp. So you can put a bandana, a hat, socks, underwear, anything you want on this. I'm going to put some leaves.
What's he gonna do?
So tight.
That's magical. That right there is magical.
Now, this is pretty good shelter. Listen up. Listen up. This is pretty good shelter.
Awesome.
If it's not raining much, if it's not too windy. I'm a little concerned about rain and wind. So I'm going to take my pole, put it over here. I'm going to pull my slip knot. I'm going to lower it because we're going to hunker down tonight. Because maybe it's going to be windy. I'm going to lower this a bit. Put my slip knot here, and it's very easy to lower that. And I'm going to lower this. I want you to watch this. Here you go. Here's my slip knot. Ping. It's done. I go down to here, and I put the slip knot back on. It is easy as pie.
I don't know how to bake pie though.
Because I lowered it, a couple things have happened. It's not quite as tight over here, so I'm going to take this steak and move it out a little bit. And I want it tight. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Back up a little bit. Give me some more space, please.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to pull this out. Nice and tight. Now it's much lower, but it's going to help us hunker down some. And I'm going to take this and
Break it.
make it shorter.
This is the coolest ideas I've ever known. My mind's blown.
Now that gives me a little more protection. The other thing it gives me is this. Are you ready?
Yeah, what?
If you have an angle like this, like it was before, I've only got this much square footage underneath. But when I lower this, it gives me a little more footage, a little more space. You guys go ahead and crawl around under there and get a feel for it. For those of you who wish to listen, we will not help you with your shelters tonight.
That's cool.
You're going to have to do it on your own. You're 8th graders.
It's okay.
I built a shelter here, but guess what? I don't intend to use it. If this were tonight, I would not intend to use it. I build a shelter in case it rains, but what I like to do is what you did your first night, is I like to go sleep out. I like to find a great place to sleep.
Look at the stars.
Your first night you were out there looking at the stars, you went to sleep, you felt a little rain, you got up and you moved under a shelter, correct?
You just make it and do.
Here's what I do when I get to a campsite. Y'all can just turn around and look at me, you don't have to follow me. I wander around and one thing I find that makes a good night's sleep is somewhere that is level. I find a place that's level. I have found that if I sleep on a hill, I don't sleep. It's just yucky. I look around and, you know, it's kind of level down there, but I like to find something that's kind of curved and soft too. I look down in these trees over here. You know, there are a few sticks in the way and stuff, but this, ooh,
Oh, God, I think you're wet.
this is a pretty nice spot.
I think you're wet.
It feels pretty good too. It kind
Would you
of
like a massage in the lemonade?
fits my body. So I could just sleep here. And if it starts to rain,
Get up and
I
run.
grab my essentials and run under the shelter. But wander around and find yourself a great place to sleep. And it doesn't have to be in your shelter. Remember there were a few roots in there? Mm-hmm. If I'm over there, I'm not sleeping on roots. It's so nice. So that's just a thought. Any questions? Y'all might want to fool around with some of those slip knots. We'll give you about 5 minutes to look at that, and we're going to wrap it up. Thank you very much. God bless your day.
What's